Hi, I'm Chris. This is my GameMaker channel, and we're carrying on with the air hockey game that we were making before. This is as far as we got in the last video. We got to the pads, and we were changing the code over from the old control system to the new control system. Basically, it does exactly the same thing, but it'll give us more power to edit things in the future. So we've got these two keys in here, and we've got the same in pad 02. In order to make this a little bit easier, we're going to stay inside of pad 01 and do all the necessary changes, and then we're going to duplicate them over into the other one. Okay, so the first place that we want to go to is the obj_puck, which is inside of pad 01, but we want to go into the collision. And we got this code here, which is basically if our y is greater or equal to then the puck, this is like doing our little bouncing off the object. Okay, and then we on the wall we've basically got the same thing. It kind of does almost the same thing, so probably don't need that bit there. So we're in the puck, and we're going to replace this code with like a simple code. Basically, we're going to replace this drag and drop stuff with code. So go into the control section and drag in a code window, and then in here we want to do ///, and I'm just going to resize this window so we can see everything a little bit easier. So I'll move this one up, and then this one here, just scale it up so basically you can see it a little bit easier. So in here we can do DnD, code replacement for pad bouncing of puck. So it gives us that little, whenever we knock into the puck, it basically pushes the pad down slightly, yeah. And this is kind of what we want to reproduce. So in here, what we need to write is we need to do another if statement. So if, and then we're going to do brackets y, and then the greater than sign. I think it's the greater than sign. Anyway, equals. So just put a space in there so it's a little bit easier to see. Other dot y, close bracket. So other means when we're doing a collision, it's the other object that we're colliding with. So in this instance, we're the pad and we're colliding with the puck. So it's going to use whatever the y position of the puck is and put it there. Okay, then we're going to do a space and then an open curly bracket, and we're going to go down the line, and then we're going to hit the tab key to sort of push ourselves in a little bit. And then we're going to do motion underscore set, open bracket, and 270, and a comma, then 3, which is the speed in which we want to bounce off. So this is the direction, and then this is the speed that we're going to move, and then a close bracket, a semicolon, and then we're going to hit enter to go down the line and delete, and then close the curly bracket. So basically all of this should be self-contained. Oh, get rid of that one and put a semicolon there. Ah, wonderful. I've been an amateur. Alright, and then after that, on the next line down, or the next two lines down, just to give us a little bit of space, I'm going to write else, which is the same as doing this else section here. Else, and an open curly bracket, and then down the line, and hit tab, and we're going to write motion underscore set with a lowercase s, otherwise it gives us an error. Open curly bracket, and we're going to write 90 for the direction, and then 3 for the speed. Semicolon, down the line, and then delete just to go back a space, and then close the curly bracket. So this is exactly the same as the other part that we've done. And I'm just going to go on this close, and then I'm going to delete all of the code of all of these sort of drag and drop sections above. So get rid of all this. So basically it's not running the same code twice. And then with this code here, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to open up pad 02, and I'm going to go into the collision with the puck. I'm going to paste it in here, so we've got the same one in, and then I'm going to delete all these other objects, all these other sort of drag and drop sections. Alright, since I've done that, I'm just going to quickly recheck that, make sure I haven't done it wrong. Okay, looks fine, and then I'm going to test it. Okay, so I'm just going to pause the video to run the test. Okay, so I'm back from testing, or back into the sort of test window. I'm going to make sure I click on it so I can move things around. So you should be able to like hit the object, and it pushes you down in the opposite direction. You can sort of notice it a little bit. Alright, so whenever I hit the puck's going super fast. Alright, so I should be able to get one on this one. And it pushes you back in the opposite direction. So this is working exactly as intended. So I'm going to go back to my GameMaker now. So just close this. And then with this code that I've got, so I'm currently, it doesn't really matter which pad you're in. So I'm going to go back to pad 01. And then with this code that we created, I'm going to copy it again. I'm going to go into the wall, and then I'm going to paste it in here, and then I'm going to delete all this other drag and drop stuff. Because the way that we've kind of written this code, it can be used anywhere because it's using this other and it's not specifying the other object directly, it's just using the other to sort of pick it up. So I'm going to change this bit up here where it says bouncing off the puck to wall, because this is what we want it to do. That's a wall, and do the tick. Oh, and the other thing is that I want to change in this is I want to change the speed that it bounces off the wall, because I don't want it to bounce off the wall as fast as it bounces off the puck. So changing these speed values to 2 instead of 3, and then tick, and then I'm going to copy this, okay, and go into pad 02 and then to the wall collision, and then paste it in here, and then remove all of this drag and drop stuff. Okay, and then this is working exactly as the other one should be. And we shouldn't need to test this, or we can test it later and kind of find out if there's any problems with it. Okay. Alright, the next thing we want to change is our score object. So if I open up the score object, the first thing I want to double check to make sure that everyone's doing is inside of the score object, before it should be like this where it's visible, I want to untick this, so basically it's still in the game and it's still doing the same stuff, but it doesn't draw it. And the reason why that is in our room we have, on my one anyway, I wrote score across here, yeah, and it's actually on the background. So even though this object's still in here and you can see it in this editor, when you run the game you shouldn't be able to see it. And that's kind of why I want to sort of turn off the visibility on the object. And if it does show up, or it is overlapping the other one, then make sure you come in here to turn it off. Okay, alright, the next thing we want to do is inside the score object, we've got these two variables and they're basically set up already and they're working and stuff, but we want to replace these with the code equivalents. So we need to go into the control tab and then drag in the code window, which kind of never gets old because you'll be doing it forever. Okay, and then we're going to do // DnD, and then code replacement for setting up variables. Okay, so in here, this is super easy. So this is going to be, let's make sure that we've got the name of the variables correct. So you can see up here the original names. So this is going to be score underscore P1, and then it's equal to 0 at the beginning of our game, 0, and then a semicolon. So it looked like that. And then score, if I can spell it, underscore P2 equals 0, semicolon. Okay, so both of these are 0 at the beginning of our game. So we've got these in here, and then you can see at the top here, this is exactly the way they're originally spelled. And do a tick. And then I'm just going to remove both of these. And then that's sorted. And then into the step event, which is where I think we already had code in here. Alright, I'm just going to remove this because I think I didn't really explain it in a previous video. And then I kind of realized that the way I set it up was a bit wrong anyway, or a bit special. So I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to do it properly this time. Alright, so this is going to be // and it's going to be score basically this code was what's going to happen. Once we hit 9 goals, it's going to take us to out of the game, or take us to basically we made up these two new rooms, which are player 1 wins and player 2 wins, so it's going to take us to that. So it's going to be code that takes us to win screens. And it's regardless of which player wins, it's going to work out which players has won and then take us to their appropriate win screen. So in here we're going to do an if, and then open bracket, and then obj underscore score, if I could spell, score dot p1 underscore score. Wait, I think it's not that way. Let's just double check it from the other thing. Alright, that's the way it is. I'm just going to copy these to make it a little bit easier. Oh god. Control C. Nope. Alright, yeah, see, I was doing it wrong. So it's that one. Control C, Control V. Let's get rid of these. Yeah, sometimes when I'm coding, I change the way that I've written stuff, and it's a bit annoying. Or a bit annoying to me anyway. So that one equals 9. So when we hit 9 goals, then we want to change to the new screen. It's going to change instantly, so we're never going to see that we got 9, but it's just going to instantly go that way. So we've got basically if in the score object, which is I think currently the object that we're in, so maybe this is irrelevant. Then we've got score p1 equals, which means if the value in this number here is the same as this one, which is what equals mean. Whereas if it's just a single equals, it means change the value in here to this value. So equals means is it equal to, basically the equivalent. Okay, then open curly bracket, and then we're going to go down the line and tab in, and we're going to basically change our room. So room equals, this one's changing it to, and the name of our room is down here in the background. So rm underscore p1, and you can see it automatically seeks the room that we want to change it to. So p1 wins, and then I want to put a semicolon on that, and down the line, and then tab in. Okay, yeah, let's carry on anyway. Right, and then I want to copy this, Control C and Control V, just sort of space it out a little bit, and change this bit here where it says player 1 to player 2, and then change this to 2 as well. So if either player gets enough goals, then it will go to that screen. So in front of this, I'm going to type // and write player 2 wins. So as a little reminder to what it's actually doing, Control C, and then another one up here, paste V. So this one's player 2 wins. So player 1 wins, no special mode. Right. For testing purposes, because obviously I don't want to wait till one player scores 9 goals before it shifts to the correct room, I'm just going to change these values to 2 and 2, right? So we can hit 2 goals in, and then it will change, and then we can come back and update this afterwards. Okay, so I'm going to quickly go and play test this to make sure that this is working. Okay, so I'll pause the video. Okay, so once it goes in there, then it goes to player 2 wins. Okay, and yeah, I know that was a bit brief, but you can basically got to the right score, and then it changed to this room. Alright, once we're in this room, we can't change out of it, so we're kind of like stuck in this. So this is another thing we want to fix. We want to basically have some sort of way of getting back from this room into the game screen so we can carry on playing. And I'm just going to hit stop on the, I'm going to hit pause on the video, sorry, and I'm going to be right back. Okay, so just to make it slightly easy for us to get back out of these rooms, I'm just going to create a real quick drag and drop object that we can put in there, which is going to get us back out of there. So rather than actually coding anything, I just want to make it easy. So in here, I'm going to create an object, obj underscore restart, I guess. And then this one's not going to have a sprite because it doesn't need to have one, it just needs to exist in that room. And then I'm going to do add event and a keyboard, and let me just make sure I can see all this. Keyboard, and I just want to do it to the any key, which is basically if you hit any key while you're in that thing, it will change back. So that one there, any key, and then I want to change it to let's do restart game. Yeah, so game restart, and then it will change into there. Alright, and I may change this over to an actual code equivalent, but for now I'm just going to leave it simple like this. Alright, so in this room, so I'm in my player 1 wins room, and I'm going to basically select my new object, which is restart, and I'm just going to put it in here. And when it's in the room, you can kind of see it's like a little ball with a question mark on it, so that means there's an object with no sprite in the room. And I'm going to do the same for the other room. So this one is player 2 wins, and put the same object in here. So these need to exist in the object in the rooms in order to work. So basically what should happen is when one player wins, we should be able to hit a button and then it restarts the game, so we can start playing all over again. In fact, do a really quick test on that. So I'm just going to pause. Okay, so I'm back in the game. Alright, so there we go, it comes into here. Then I hit. Alright, so that did something to my Camtasia, which I didn't want to happen. So I'm going to click into here, then hit the spacebar, and then it goes back to the game, and it should replay and potentially go into one of the goals if I can get it to score. There we go, comes in here, and then hit spacebar and it restarts. Okay, so wonderful. Just let me close this, and then we can move on to the next part. Alright, so the next thing that we want to do is we want to update our counters. So I'm going to go into my obj_counter p1, and we're going to replace, because we're basically systematically going through replacing everything, we want to change this. Oh, and it appears like I've already done this in this program. So I've done it on one, not the other. Oh, actually, I'm being confused. Right, yeah. So inside of the counter for player 1's counter, which is the red counter, in here we've got a create, and then here we've got a variable. And what it's doing is it's an image speed and it's setting it to 0. So we're just going to replace this really quickly with the code equivalent. So in the create event, grab in a code window, and then in here, so we're going to write //DnD replacement, code replacement, and for setting image speed. Okay, and then in here we're going to do image underscore speed, which you can see is a set variable within inside of GameMaker, and then this is going to equal to 0, and then a semicolon, and then that's basically all you need on that one. I'm just going to copy this because it might speed me up. Control C. There we go. And actually, I'm going to copy the whole thing, so copy that instead. And then got this old set variable. I'm going to delete that. Then I'm going to go into the step event, and then this is basically similar. So this is the image index one. So I'm just going to move this over so I can probably see the whole thing. So I just want to see what is in it. And then I'm going to put in a new code window into this one, and in this one I'm going to type //DnD, if I can write it properly, DnD code replacement for updating image index, which is basically the variable that controls which number displays on our custom counter. So this is going to be image, as you can kind of see up here in this bit up here, image underscore index, and then it says equals obj underscore score, which I can see it's kind of like shortcutting, it's kind of like helping me write it. And then it's score, if I can write a score underscore, that's quite relevant, get rid of that dot, score underscore p1, which is basically what it says just up there, and then a semicolon. So this should keep us updated on what we want it to be. So close that. Alright, and then delete the original. There we go. So I'm going to open up let's do this properly. Okay, so go into my create event, my create for my player 1 count, and I'm going to copy this again, and then I'm going to go into my obj count p2 and open up that one, and then I'm going to paste that in there, paste, and make sure it's got the right properties in there. So it's just image speed, so this one doesn't need to change, and then delete the original. And then from my step event in my my player 1 count, copy this, okay, and then go into my step event for my P2 and paste this in here. Delete the original, paste that again because I seem to have deleted both. Alright, and then inside here we need to change where it says score P1 to P2 because we're in a player 2, and then do the tick, and then OK. And then what this should do is this should update as we play, like before. So basically everything in our game is coded except for this bit here, which is just like a test object, which we'll probably replace or make something a little bit better in the future. So I'm going to quickly playtest this, and then this should conclude what I wanted to do in this video. So pause. Alright, so I'm back, and basically I seem to have messed something up in my code, and it's basically saying image index equals obj underscore score p underscore p1, which is, I completely missed out a section of something I should have written. Generally when errors come up like this, it's nothing to be scared of. It basically gives you all the information that you need to know. Yeah, so at the top here it says it's in a step event, and then it says it's in obj underscore p1, so I know where to look now. So it's in a step event up there, and then it has here, it has line 2, and then it has this image index part here, and I can see straight away what I've done. I've just completely derped it up really, and I just want to correct this. So I'm gonna go abort on this so it doesn't do my playtest, and then I'm going to open up my account for this. If it opens, there we go. And then I'm going to go into, is it my create event? Was it my create event? No, it wasn't. It was my step event. Wonderful. In here, and I can see what I've done. Basically, I've got the object and the thing on the same line, which is a bit silly. So let's go back to here quickly. The first one. Actually, I think we need to open up our object to sort of know what we need to put into it. So in my object, I can see, if I open up my object for my score, I can see that I've got this variable here, and this is the variable I need to update. So I'm going to copy this so I know that I definitely get the spelling right this time. Copy, and then I'm going to go back into my count, which is where my error was, and go into my step event. And inside my step event here, I need to basically remove this part, so that bit goes red. Then put a dot in there, and then Control V and paste that in there like this. And then obviously I've copied it from one object to the other, so if I run it now it would say, oh, I've got an error in the other one. So I'm going to copy this line, copy, thank you, there we go, and do the tick. And then I'm going to go into my other count object and into my step event, replace this line, which is also wrong, which you can see there, paste, Control V, and then change the 1 to a 2. Okay, so even though this error looks like it was totally staged, it actually was completely accidental, and even sometimes I mess up stuff. Okay, so I'm going to quickly play test the game. Okay, so the game's running, and then it's about to go into the goal for the second time, so player gets 2 wins, and if I click space or any button, it really doesn't matter. You can see that basically these are updating as accordingly. Yeah, so it doesn't look like we've actually changed anything in our game, but we totally have, and we know we have. So I'm just going to close this, and then I'm going to go back into my score for the last bit, just to make sure that we can set the numbers back to what they're supposed to be. So inside the score object, inside the step event for the win screen stuff, on line 4 and line 9 of mine, I'm going to change where I've got this 2 in here to 9, because that's how many goals I want to score before, you know, any players declared a winner. Okay, and then this kind of concludes the sort of updating to the from the drag and drop stuff to the GML stuff. And technically we could change the other one as well, but I think I'm going to leave that for the next episode. Okay, so in the next lesson, what I want to do is basically I want to refine the game and make it a lot more playable so we can tune the numbers, and then I'm also going to make it so that we can control variables like this a lot easier, because they'll just be in like one place where we can check and make it easier to update. Okay, but thank you, and so probably one more video of this, and then I'll start a new series. Okay, thank you.